What's up, Jason?
What's going on? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. So FYI, I won't be able to make next week's call. I actually have lunch scheduled with a new agent that I've been trying to get into renovation loans with.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it was 1 o'clock next Wednesday, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, so she and I set that up, and I have my event the day after. So I wanted to go over some renovation stuff with her and try and convince her to come to the event. So
cool. What event are you guys having again?
So I'm doing the happy hour at Sonder Social. I have 30 people showing up, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, awesome. Just sending a quick reminder here, let everybody know we're starting. Cool. Yeah, and it'll be just kind of a live conversation like we're going to do today. Just really focusing on, making sure that everybody's really doing the right things that are going to get the biggest results, and just talking through what you guys are doing, putting a little plus spin on it. So like anything that you're working on that you want to get better results out of, that's kind of what we're talking about these 2 days. So you'll get the recording, you just skim through it and see if there's any cool topics in there. I may actually try and summarize them too once we get done.
Okay.
Cool. All right, everybody's rolling in. I love it. Is Kimberly in here yet? All right, guys, we got everybody rolling in. Let's see what time it is. Oh, we're at 12:01. All right, cool. So I was just I wanted to kick this off. We got the recording going. So I wanted to kick this off and make it a real true kind of mastermind / deep dive conversation around the things that you guys are working on, what you're dealing with. And really the big thing is that you guys are really getting out of this call what you want. Like, I don't come to it with some okay, I'm going to try and impress them today and really give them something, because I've learned in coaching, you can't really motivate somebody. You have to be excited about it. It has to be in your wheelhouse, has to be something you want to do. You got to be passionate about it. What I can do is, with the experience in coaching and having one-on-one coaching calls, it's really, really wild. Like, I could almost say that 90% of you, when we have our coaching call, and I'm talking years and years of coaching, but even this group right here, 90% of you are somewhat in the same realm in our one-on-one calls of what we're actually working on. And just so you kind of get a recap, what coaching really is. I mean, coaching is used too loosely in the entire world. A coach can be a trainer, speaker, a motivator. Oh, we got a little background noise. A motivator. There's so many different types of coaching. Nobody even knows what the definition of coaching is. So there's coaches out there, and they're all good, and they all will have some kind of impact on somebody as long as the coach is paying attention to the client. I kind of coach around all those realms. And actually, you're not even stuck with just business and mortgage, because this is a family business. We are in a family business. And whether you believe it or not, your family's involved with you in this mortgage business. Everything that happens at work takes you away from them or takes focus away. Everything you do at work, you're bringing back to the family to provide the lifestyle. So we can coach all over the place. I've got 2 national certifications, just meaning that I've done extensive extra training to really understand what coaching really is, so that I'm not just some guy. It's like, oh, I've done it, so come coach with me. Come on. I do just as much wrong as anybody else does. Now, I have probably done things wrong a lot more than you have yet, because I think I might be one of the oldest people on this group in this call. So I've probably done it wrong a lot more. However, the reality is, many of you know I have a real estate business selling 70 to 100 homes a year. That really truly is my laboratory, where everything that I hear about, conferences I go to, I mean, I still go to webinars and conferences, and I'm taking notes just like everybody else is. And I come back and I implement basically anything that even remotely makes sense. I'll implement it into my real estate business. And then I figure out what really doesn't work. And I figure out what's kind of working, how to tweak it a little bit more. So I get right in the trenches with you guys. So with that being said, a lot of what I talk about and what I try not to do is bore you with my timelines and my 5 a day and writing handwritten notes. But I'm going to tell you right now, every idea that you guys talk about and come up with, we definitely want to talk about them. I want you to have fun in your business. But if you skip that piece, you're just going to get this really crappy return on investment. You're going to do all this effort for this really cool event. I was trying to think some of the events that you're going. Jason was just talking about an event that he's got coming up at like a brewery. Several of you are doing some events, open houses. You get some trainings in the offices. So you can go there and you can do your thing, and it can be awesome. And you can talk to a lot of people. If you skip that beginning piece where you connect with people, you write them a handwritten note and run them through the brand plan timeline, what you're going to get is probably a less than 1% return on everything that you did. Meaning that if you create the relationships and if you do that drip plan and you layer this in everything, I can take it to any industry in the world. If they will lay the relationship piece in there, kind of like we talk about a lot, and they do that consistently, persistently, and become top of mind, you get a 10x return on investment on anything that you do. Meaning that if you do a happy hour, oh, we got somebody just came in. I'm gonna grab a try to mute. Maybe I got the right one. But so if you do an event like at a brewery or something, if you apply these timelines and these follow-up plans to that, you'll get 10 times more business than if you did it and you had a successful event and 30, 40 agents showed up and 1 or 2 of them or 3 of them gave you business. You might in your realm think that that's a good success because I picked up 3 new agents and got 3 new pieces of business. If you had taken the 10 or 15 people that you really connected with at that event, put them on this timeline, and you just followed that silly little plan that everybody looks at and wonders, how is this going to make me a ton of money? You're actually going to get 7, 8, or 9 of those agents to do business with you over the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. And you didn't put any extra effort into picking up the extra 6 or 7 agents. So that's why I harp on that a little bit, because it's everything I've ever done. Like I'm coaching loan officers right now. I've coached real estate agents. I've started a top mastermind with some 200 of the top agents all around the country. We're the techie real estate agents. I ran our conferences that way, where I picked up the phone. I called these top real estate agents all around the country. Hey, it's Brad, just checking in. How's everything going? And I'd write them a note. So guys, listen to this. These are agents that do 200, 300 sales a year. They're like the big dogs. My little 100 sales a year in that big pond, I'm like the little guy in a big fish. I'm a little fish in a big pond, right? They would be so blown away. Like they would literally say, are you really just calling to check in? I'm like, well, yeah, we're friends. We go to this conference every year. We share our best ideas. I mean, like, I've built most of my business and my success came from what you've shared at conferences in the past. Why wouldn't I call you and just check in? They're like, I just can't believe you're actually doing it. And so guys, it blows people away. So it doesn't matter what I've done. If I can layer that piece in there, it works. So anyway, that's where I want to kind of open this up. That may seem like it's not very creative. It's not very fun. It's just plugging through the spreadsheet, seeing who the next touch is, going through. It's mundane, boring stuff. But it's so core that when you get that down to a system and you do it every single day, everything else you do, you can go have all the fun you want because it's going to amplify the results. So this is where I want to come in. There's a couple things I want to happen on these next 2 calls. And just to get different perspectives. And the other reason why I did it on a Wednesday and a Tuesday and doing 2 calls, because I know I'll have different people and I'll have some of the same people. And we're going to record them both and we're going to have the same conversation. So the conversation today that I would like to kick off is not only who's doing the spreadsheet, who's doing the brand plan. And if you don't know what the spreadsheet is and you don't know what the brand plan is, we're going to cover that as we talk about it as well. But if you're doing it, what success are you having and why do you think you're having that success? The other part of it is, I want to do it. I understand it. You're talking about it all the time. I'm probably not doing it consistent enough. Throw that on the table and go, I get it. And I just am struggling with this, or I just can't bring myself to send that email with the link from my Movement Mortgage webpage to my get approved page, or I just can't bring myself to print that about me page off of my website, print that one page and drop it in an envelope. I just can't do it. So, because the other thing about this is these one-on-one relationships that I figured out is that if you start them out right and you really connect with people and you write that, there's something magical about that handwritten note without the words I, me, or my in it. And I know I got like probably a dozen new people in the group. So just hang with me, write down any questions. If I'm saying something, you're like, what's the note? What's the timeline? Just throw that in there and we'll cover it real quick. But we'll be covering those on our one-on-one calls. But when you do that, you move over into a different realm that here's what I can promise you. What you're thinking in your head is print off the bio page. Like everybody, if you're in front of your computer, go to your Movement Mortgage website page, go to the About Me page and look at your bio. And what I'm talking about is hitting right click and print that page out to your printer. In fact, do it just so you can see what it looks like when you print it out. So where I run into just like believing it works is that most people look at that and go, yeah, that's not professional enough. I just can't bring myself to drop that in the mail. And the difference is when you're trying to impress a top agent to try and gain their business, there really isn't much of anything that you're going to send them that's fancy. I mean, heck, how many of you got the footballs, right? I mean, you can send this to Brad Korn because I'm going to the Chiefs game or I love football. Top agent. That's not going to gain my business just by sending me the football. I'm gonna get our background noise out of there. This ain't going to do it. But if you've met me several weeks ago, you wrote a note and especially if you send it to me, right? I'm like, oh, dudes, they're doing the note, right? So, and it says, hey, it was great meeting you. Look forward to keeping in touch. And that's all it has to say. It feels good. And then I get your email, then I get your mail, then I get a text message, and then you send me the football going, hey, I know you got a tailgate coming up, Chiefs start. I wanted to make sure you had a football for your tailgate to play with. Dude, you're going to get my business, right? And I may not have one sitting in front of me right now, but while I'm playing football and my phone rings with an internet lead, I guarantee you, I know exactly who you need to call. I'm going to look for that text message and send them the pre-approval application to see what they qualify for. Do you guys see the difference there? So I want you to share everything, something that you've done that's working, because several of you on your calls are like, something went off, you made some adjustments, and it's starting to work. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually working. Other people are still struggling with, it's not working. I'm putting people through, But what we're kind of finding, and this is not one particular person. So if this is you, don't say anything unless you want to. You don't have to tell on yourself or raise your hand. But there was several people that were working at surface level relationships, meaning like they were either at an open house or a training or whatever. And they're like, man, I like put the agent on there and sent them a note. They said they had something for me. I've sent them 6, 7 text messages. I've called them twice. I've emailed them and they've ghosted me. Oh, let's stop right there. How many of you had an agent say, oh, I got a deal for you, and then they've ghosted you? Yeah, it happens, right? So what we're just by asking some questions and digging through that, what we kind of figured out, and this is what the client realized, you guys, was, wow, I think it was way too surface. I really wasn't connected. So anyway, the connection part's just the fun part. And then you just let the relationship grow from there, and it will build into business down the road. So again, success that you're having, challenges that you're having with it, and or open forum for anything cool that you're doing that you want to have fun with. Because remember, the layer is that everything you do fun, event and grand opening at your market center, or you get an opportunity to teach a class in a real estate office, whatever the cool, fun things are that you're doing, bring those up too. And somebody else may have already done one and figured out little things they can do to make it a little better. And of course, I like to give that deep dive on how to make sure you get the 10x return versus just getting 1 or 2 deals. So I don't know, that took me a little while to set up. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm just going to open it up and see if anybody has anything burning they want to throw into the ring right off the bat. What are you guys working on? What do you got coming up? What are you excited about? Yet you're a little nervous about it really working for you.
I'll mention that, the handwritten notes, I never really did those much, but I try to make that an effort for myself to start doing. And what I did is I got a box of cards, stamps, all that stuff, set it on my desk. So if something ever came up and I'm like, this would be a good opportunity to do a note, I just write it right then and there, wrap it up, and then I just put it in the mailbox next time I go about a box. And it's so much easier to do that.
You just have them everywhere. They're in my car. They're on every desk in my office. Yeah. I just got stacks of them because I'm glad you brought it up, because it is the simplest thing to not do if you don't do it right then. And if you let it pile up and try to do it at the end of the day, it's the worst thing because it takes so long to, gosh, what was that conversation? You're trying to think of what to write, and then it doesn't get done. So yeah. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and I will share one more thing about that. When I had an agent that I met with, I had coffee with, and then I reached out to her a couple of times. She didn't really kind of open up to me. And then I followed up with her the next week. She had gotten a personal note that I sent to her. Hey, thanks for having coffee with me, or whatever. She answered and said, hey, I got your card, by the way. And yes, I'm going to your event. And all of a sudden it was like, it just made her so much more receptive. So I'm a huge believer in it now.
It's a crossover. And I'll give you guys the technical part. Some of you have heard this before, and I'll just tell you, it's good to hear it over and over a few times. But there is a gentleman that you might want to seek out on the internet. I know he has videos out there. His name is Rene Rodriguez, and he's been in the mortgage industry as long as I've been coaching in the mortgage industry, which goes clear back to 2005. I started coaching professionally loan officers before I started coaching real estate agents. Actually, before I even knew I was going in the coaching field, I didn't know what it was when I first went in, other than, yeah, I'll help people with their business. So that was back in 2005 with the loan toolbox days. So it's really fun being at Movement. And the fact that they have this level of coaching for you guys just built in, I mean, Casey and Mike, it's amazing that any company would just do this for you guys. So everybody, that give yourself kudos for jumping in it when somebody told you about it, because this is like high level executive coaching that people pay a lot of money for every month out of their pocket to have. So, but the point on that was just Rene Rodriguez has been in it from way back when. And he studies the brain and how people process things. So what Jason was just talking about was processing. Like once you meet somebody and you connect with them, how do they process anything else you do from that day forward? So we're going to do a little bit of old world thinking and this new level of relationship thinking. So old world thinking is, I've got to earn their trust. I've got to impress them. I got to somehow get them to want to do business with me. So I have to try and impress them with fancy pieces, with all this other stuff. And then the other part of the old world that somehow goes along with that is, but I don't want to pester them. I don't want to bug them. So I'm not going to call them for like another month. I'm going to let it ride for a month or let it ride 2 months. And then pretty soon it's 3 or 4 months. And I don't want to be a pest. Okay. The new world is if you connect with somebody and have a decent conversation and you can get that part started. So that's the part that's kind of hard to train. I mean, if you know nothing about them and you cannot connect with them and you start a conversation and it stays very surface level, that just doesn't count as your connection yet. That's just really the person that needs to stay over here, that I'm going to send them something once a month and just try to be in front of them, but look for that next opportunity to what Rene Rodriguez calls is the limbic part of the brain. So when information, you're talking to an agent, you'd like to get their business, you see them at an event, they're at an event experiencing your event. Everything's coming in through the eyes and the ears. And this is a little technical, but it's so important. And it's the one piece I got from Rene that made sense as to why this connection, the handwritten note, and then the consistent drips work. Is because there's a limbic part of the brain that everything comes in, and it's limbic, Limbic, if you look it up. And that's the defense mechanism. It's the natural human defense mechanism that blocks everything, keeps all that crap out of your head, right? I mean, we're looking at the middle of the day or morning for everybody on the West Coast, and you've already had a ton of crap coming at you, haven't you? Tons of crap. You probably already deleted a chunk of emails because of all this stuff that was in there. So the limbic part of the brain is that thing. And the best story that Rene Rodriguez has, and actually, before I tell it, raise your hand if you have kids. You have little kids. Yep. Okay. And if you know somebody has kids, you can raise your hand, or you're an uncle or an aunt or something like that, right? So the best story that Rene tells is he's like, you're standing at the edge of a pool. And it's a swimming pool, like Olympic-sized swimming pool. And there's alligators in the pool. And you're there with your kids and you're checking out the alligators. And somebody says, hey, I'm going to go stand over here at the other end of the pool. Okay, we forget about Olympic size. It's the short width of an Olympic-sized pool, right? And I got $1,000. I'm over at the other side of the pool. Come on, jump in, swim over here and get this $1,000, right? How many of you are jumping in the water for $1,000 with alligators in the pool? Now he sets $1 million there. There's about 20 alligators swimming around between you and that $1 million. It's sitting on the other end of the pool. How many of you are going to jump in the pool, swim across to go get the $1 million with the alligators, right? Probably not many. And by the way, they haven't eaten for about a week, so they're pretty.
I run around the other side of the pool to catch up with them that way.
Yeah. Now here's what happens. You're sitting there with that $1,000. We'll go back to that. One of your kids slips and falls in the pool, or your niece or your nephew or whatever slips and falls in the pool. How many of you are in that pool instantly to get them out? Right? We don't even think twice about it. So that defense mechanism is what that limbic part of the brain is what tells us if we're safe or not safe, and whether you'll make those reactions or not. So a lot of what happens with salespeople is when they call, and when you guys cold call, right? I mean, there's been some great things that have happened in the industry. One big one, if you've been around for a little while, just how many people remember the $8,000 tax credit or credit that you get if you were a first-time home buyer, right? Oh my God, how many of you were so excited? You're like, I get to call and give away $8,000. I'm going to sell more loans than I've ever sold my entire life. And here's how the call went. Hey, it's Brad over at Movement Mortgage. You're not going to believe this. They're giving away $8,000. You can buy a house now. And how many people would say, if you used any of those scripts, they would say, I mean, we're okay right now. We're okay where we are, but because they don't know what this sounds too good to be true. That's kind of what our limbic part of the brain tells us. And one of the things I coached to during that time period was, if you had a relationship with people already built, or if you need to build a relationship and get that started, if you could have that same call with that same person, and you had been dripping on them, and you got in a relationship, wrote a note, so they get stuff from you every so often, and you called me up and you're like, hey, Brad, it's Jason. Just want to touch base with you real quick. What's going on in your world? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, what's going on in the mortgage industry is probably what I'm naturally going to say, or I can get them to ask me that if I really want to, right? And then you're going to say, oh, you're not going to believe it. I mean, so there's just a lot of good stuff happening. But let me ask you something. If I were to run by right now, like I'm going to leave my office right now, I'm going to come by your house and I'm going to hand you $300. I'm going to give you $300. I got it in my hand right now. If I came by and I gave that to you, I'm real curious. What would you do with it? What do you mean, for real? Like $300? Yeah, $300. What would you do with it? Probably pay off that one credit card that's just bugging me. Okay, cool. That's awesome. So if I came by next month, and I'm just going to do it next month too. I've got an extra $300 again. I need to give it away to somebody. What would you do it next month? Oh, crap. I'd probably take my wife out for a nice dinner. I haven't done that in a while. Do you guys see what I'm telling you right now that you want to be paying attention to? And I'll close this out, but you already know where I'm going with it. Next month, I'm going to come by $300 more. Now, what would you do? Oh, I'm definitely we're taking the whole family to that water park, and because that's just expensive as heck. Great. Well, that's why I'm actually calling today, because the interest rates dropped and I was just reviewing your stuff and it looks like I might be able to get you down $200, $300 a month. For real? It's like, yeah, it's all interest anyway, just putting it right back in your pocket. When you want to get together, it's like, oh crap. See how the difference is, like the limbic part of the brain, and because of the relationship, I'm able to get that conversation to be processed. So that's what Renee talks about, is once you get past the limbic part of the brain, they can actually process what you're saying, where if the limbic part of the brain blocks it, too good to be true, I really don't have time to listen to a pitch. If any of that's in there with any agent you're trying to get into business with, they're too busy and they can't even process that what you're saying is a good opportunity. Does that make sense to a lot of people? So it's just hearing it again. But the reason why I say it is because this conversation snaps back into the old world really quick when the next opportunity shows up. It's like, training, I got the whole office. There's 200 people showing up. I got 5 minutes up front to talk. Oh my gosh, that poor 5-minute pitch, or even 15-second pitch, or whatever. It's like, okay, what could I say during that pitch up front that would get past their limbic part of their brain and get them to swarm me at the end of the event to figure out what that is that I was talking about. And I know that's kind of real general, but it's like, rather than say, hey, we got this program, that program, we're definitely here to help you and we're available and we're a great mortgage company. Man, just take a second and peel it back and go, what can I offer? So if it were something like interest rates going down, it's like, hey, let me ask you guys something. If you could call your client up and tell them that your mortgage guy gave you $300 to give away, what would they do with it? And they're going to come give it to you. What would you do with it? You guys could use that conversation as your pitch to tell those agents, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. A refi down one rate would be, $200-$300 a month for my clients. But here's the next part. See, they haven't been in touch with their database and they're not connected with their relationships either. So when you give them something like that, that seems so simple, and I'm not saying it's that exactly, but when it's something that simple, they can be like, well, I could do that. And you just gave it to them, so you're going to own them. All right, so I'm going to shut up for a minute and come back to you guys. What's resonating? What do you want to talk about that's working? What do you think that's coming up that you want to make sure you capitalize on and get some involvement here? What's your next coolest, best opportunity coming up that you want to make sure you cash in on it big time? It's a big opportunity.
Hey, Coach, this is Whitney. Sorry, I don't know what is wrong with my camera. Me and my husband are trying to fix it. And can you see me? I just want to make sure you can or cannot.
I've got a black screen. So.
Okay. All right. That's what I got.
Yep.
Well, so quickly, I have an event tomorrow at one of the local areas in where I live, and it's a business mingling event, right? And I'm mini sponsoring this event. Me and my husband together. He's a home inspector. He's been a home inspector for about 7-8 years. has a lot of connections, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing this little event. I believe it's just kind of more, mingling, talking, meeting people in the local community, businesses and things of that nature. So, what would be a good tip from you? Was the main thing I should really be focusing on?
Guys, this is awesome. So anytime you have an event, even if it's a real estate event, how many of you have Real Producers magazine in your area and go to any of the Real Producers events? If you're not sure and you haven't heard of it, Real Producers, look it up and see if you have a magazine in your area. They do some high-end events, and I'm coming back to this, Whitney. I'm just kind of throwing out some other ideas so everybody can hear that this is not even just a business-to-business networking event. It could be a real estate event, a local event, because there's always inspectors at these things. There's always title company people, other people in the industry. So even a board event, like an awards function with real estate agents, you're going to have two options there: real estate agents and everybody else, title companies, inspectors. You start aligning relationships with these people as well, then you can find out, hey, who's the realtor that you see around the most or that you have relationships with, so you can leverage this into more relationships. So going to Whitney's specific question, my goal at that event would be to connect one-on-one. Like, I'm going to be bouncing all around the room. So if your personality is not to talk to everybody, you need to get out of your comfort zone just during the event. And then you need to go do a massage or a spa package right after the event to just get back to your normal, self. If you're kind of introverted and that's uncomfortable.
Not at all. No, I'm super extroverted. I will talk until I can't talk. That's probably maybe a downfall. I talk a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't mind bouncing around. I can talk to anybody. That's that part I feel pretty confident on.
Great. Yeah. And there are some people that are on the call. That's why I brought that up. I want everybody to get something out of it. So you're not going to have a problem with this. And no matter what the event is, you are not going to earn their business at this event. You're going to get lucky less than 1% of the time and pull a deal out of the event pretty quick, because you will anyway. Well, what we're talking about here is this is your long-term plan. So for Whitney, I would try to connect with as many people as possible at that event. Now, here's what it looks like. It's not a one-day event. It's not an hour. It's not 2 hours. It is my next 2 to 3 to 4 week plan to meet with the people I connect with one-on-one to find out more about their business. What's going on in your world? What are your biggest challenges? What is your goal this year? What do you want to accomplish? Who's your perfect client? And here's the mindset to get into, is that when you can give referrals out or connect people in your community, and what's really cool about this event is that you're probably going to be able to connect one person from this side of the room to another person on the other side of the room, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's a real estate event, real estate agent event, you got this commercial guy over here and you got this, brand new agent over here that has a commercial friend and he needs to refer it. So you can connect realtors to realtors. They co-op, they work together. High-end properties, new construction. When you start understanding who everybody is in the room, think about being a connector of every person that you come in contact with, which means that you're going to get to know them. And let me give you some real world tricks. You might have to, right in that particular event of this event, like you might have to turn around and write down what you just talked about with that person, their name and what you talked about, so you can remember it later and shove it in your pocket. I will go to conferences and I will network with everybody I can bump into, walk up to conversations, get to know people. And as soon as I turn around, I'm walking down Monday, elevator, commercial. And that's all I'll write down, because then at the end of the day, I will have a stack of cards. And if I go to an event, if I go to a conference somewhere, I'll actually buy postcards for if we're in Dallas, for example, I'll buy just some 40 cheap Dallas postcards that have something with the downtown skyline on it. And that's what I write my notes on. and it's waiting for them when they get home from the 3-day real estate conference. And it's like, hey, it was so great meeting you at the elevator on Monday, and so cool to hear about the commercial side of how things are going. Congratulations. Look forward to keeping in touch. Brad. I don't even put, hey, send me your referrals, because this Dallas guy doesn't have any referrals right now for Kansas City. And if he does, I don't even have to ask for him, because he's going to get the card and send them to me anyway. So I don't have to do that yet. Now, what will happen is the drip plan. So your event, you're meeting as many people as you can. You're finding out what you can. You're going to write handwritten notes to as many of those people as possible. And in our timeline spreadsheet for the brand plan, where it's 8 touches in 8 weeks and you just kind of roll them through, I might put 5 in today. I'll start 5 tomorrow. Like, let's just say, Whitney, you talk to 20 people and you connect. Put all 20 on the spreadsheet, but just send 5 notes today, send 5 tomorrow, send 5 the next day. So you're spreading it out and you're not having to do 20 calls in one day 4 weeks from now. By the way, the brand plan, just in case you're new, we say anytime you connect with somebody that you can write a handwritten note to, which means you might have to have a conversation around, hey, where do you live in town, right? And a lot of people, this comes up on our calls too. It's like, hey, real estate agent, do you go into the office or do you work from home mostly? Oh, I work from home mostly. Oh, cool. What side of town do you live on? Where are you at? There's lots of ways to Google, find addresses. Facebook will tell you what city they live in. There's a website. Probably should put this in the chat. There's a couple of websites for you guys. Where is my chat box? Oh, it's in the little bullets. There's a couple of websites. I'll say it while I'm typing it in here. One is fastpeoplesearch.com. And I know I've given this to a bunch of you before, but if you haven't used it yet, you need to pull up fastpeoplesearch.com. It's on my computer open every single day because I use it daily. The other one is for the handwritten notes is notecardcafe.com. Notecardcafe.com. What they have is cool. I got my note cards sitting here. Got them on the other desk. So they've got kind of real estate themed note cards. That this one has a whole bunch of doors on it. I got another one that's just knockers. You got some that have sayings. Some of you have gotten notes from me, right? When we connect really good, I write you a note. And so they have different themes. So you can go with these. I mean, really, if you go on Note Card Cafe, if you search the real estate themed ones, man, if you're targeting real estate agents, this is perfect. However, I will tell you that where was I? I had one of these note cards sitting in front of somebody and they grabbed my note card and they had to send it. Oh, graduation. It was one of my neighbors. He was over here at my office and he's like, you got any like graduation cards or something? He's like, oh, I got to send somebody a note card. He saw one of these laying up in the kitchen. They're everywhere, right? He saw this laying up there. He goes, hey, can I borrow that? Can I have that card? I'm like, yeah. And he writes, for a college graduation, he writes, doors are opening up for you. Happy congratulations on your graduation. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Now I can use them for graduations, right? Or anything, door opportunities opening up. So anyway, Note Card Cafe, it's $16.99 for 75 blank inside note cards, high gloss, high quality, and envelopes. You can't, there is nowhere on the planet that I found anything cheaper than that. So you're going to get a big ROI on that. What I did find out, every single store you go to, thank you. I don't want to thank them for anything. I just want to write a note. You can't find just a note cards hardly anywhere. And if you do find them, it's 8 for $16, right? So anyway, just a Note Card Cafe is a great spot. So Whitney, what I would do on that is I would make it a goal to get every one of those people that you can on your brand plan follow-up. I will blast out another attachment with that spreadsheet on there. Actually, I'm about to move that over to online to where you guys can work online and we can work on it together. So probably going to do something a little different than just sending you the plain Jane spreadsheet, and we'll all work on tweaking it and making it like a Google Doc where we each have, I have access to yours and I can help you with it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So just work them through the process. And so here's what that looks like, guys. Let me just take you through the process again. She's going to have this event. She's going to talk to people. Let's just say she networks with 20 people really well. She got 20 note cards. She's going to put them in the spreadsheet. She is going to, in 1 week after that note goes out, just look at the next column and it says send email with online application. Okay, these are local business people from all over at the different events. I'm still going to send an email that says, hey, just in case you're wondering how much you qualify for or have a friend or family member that might be thinking of moving, here's a link to my online application. I watch it regularly.
Nice.
And then what's going to happen is a week later, that spreadsheet column is going to say, go to your Movement Mortgage webpage, click the About Me, and right click and print the page on your bio. She's going to do that. Now she's sending this to local business people, but what she's doing is she's branding herself Movement Mortgage, Whitney, Movement, Whitney, Movement, Whitney, Movement, Whitney. The next thing is going to be a text message. Hey, I sent this email a couple of weeks ago. If you didn't get it, now you got it on your phone. And then she's going to call them again in 4 weeks and just say, it was so great meeting you at that event. Just touch and base, see how things are going, and just roll through the process. And what you're doing is you're creating that relationship. And by then, really think about it. By the end of 8 weeks, if anybody says the word mortgage, who are they going to say, oh, I know who you need to call? There is nobody else that can take that business away. And that's why you get a bigger return. And then you keep going there. So
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
you betcha. Just everything you do is a timeline and a plan and an orchestrated event with more than just the event.
Yep. I got
Anybody
it.
else? Go ahead. Anybody else got anything cool coming up or a really cool opportunity that might come up?
So Brad, I talked to you about a bus tour
Yeah.
that we're doing in Columbia, or HCAR is. Now, they won't hand out contact information of the agents that have registered.
Yep.
So just FYI, because you were talking about how I could kind of do a follow-up, a flyer reminder or whatever.
Yep.
But they don't hand that information out.
Yep.
What I did do, I'm preparing right now and getting this week some material. I don't want to say material, but like trinkets or whatever. And who was it that's doing the poker chips?
Yeah.
Jason.
Yep. The
Cool idea. So
Yeah.
I actually got some poker chips to have like my business card information, my NMLS, my website, my email address, phone number, stuff like that. So that's part of the trinket that I have to hand out. The only thing that I can think of is on this is to see if everybody would be willing to share their information with me to be able to do the follow-ups later.
No, I love this. All right. How many of you have any kind of event that you've ever done that kind of would relate around this, where you may not get the master list? In fact, I'm glad you're not getting the master list so we can really talk about what we're doing here. I am so happy you're not going to get it, because a lot of times people would do this bus tour and or whatever else event you've done, and they give you a master list. And then what do you do with it? You blast out an email to the people at the end or one time for something, typically, right? Anybody else do any other kind of event that somewhat resembles this, where you got a group of people and now you're figuring out how to get in touch with them after the event? Anybody do anything like that? Trading at a real estate office, you know, it's not like they give you a roster of who showed up. So remember, you've got less than a 1% chance of getting any deal from that event itself with the event by itself. The fact that you're not getting the roster is probably the best thing that can happen, because you can get the roster and you can send them 1 or 2 more things after the event, and you've got a 1% chance or less of getting any business from it. And you would have been okay with that. And you would have gotten the 1% and said, hey, it was a success. I got a deal out of it. No, we want to get 10 deals out of it. And we want to get 10 deals out of it in the next year. From that bus event tomorrow, we want to get 10 deals over the next 12 months. And then we want to get 20 deals next year because of that bus event from yesterday or today or whatever it is, right? So the fact that that's going to happen, now you can do this a lot of different ways. One, the simplest, connect with as many people as you can through the tour, and you are writing down their name and anything you can remember when you're sitting down in your seat as soon as you get away from the conversation. I mean, it's you want to get, I mean, I can't do it. I have a horrible memory. So I have to write everything down, and I won't remember who talked about what. And if I wait to do it later on in the day, it's not going to happen. So there's a lot of people I come across with in my life that never get on a drip plan because I didn't write it down. I couldn't remember, and I just forgot to do it and got swamped in the day. So I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to at least capture 3, 4, 5, 6 people a day and just keep doing that through my whole life. So you connect with as many people as you can, and they are going to get a handwritten note. And if you plug them into the spreadsheet and you just run them through the 8 weeks and then stay in touch with them from that day forward, I guarantee you, you will get 10 deals from this bus tour tomorrow over the next year or two.
Yeah, the bus tour is in the middle of this month. But that's where I also set up the action plan settings in Total Expert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Well-
action plans are the way to help you remember to stay in touch.
Right.
Now, let me get real strategic, though, too, because you can still have fun and advance this a little faster, guys. You got to think of a way to capture their information, whether that's collecting cards and you're going to do a drawing for something at the end of the day. I mean, you could have $100 gift card, so you can do any kind of drawings to capture their information. But the reason why I'm not telling you that till now is, remember, you still need to connect and you still need to be able to write the note. And just because they filled out their or gave you their business card to be in the $100 gift card drawing doesn't mean they get a note from you. Your goal, though, is anybody that you did not connect with on the bus. So immediately following this tour or this event, those people get the note that you connected with and you start them on the plan. The other cards that I might have collected during the drawing, these are the people that will be like really nice, you know, oh yeah, I think I have a deal for you. And then they'll ghost you, right? And you'll be blowing up their phone. You would talk about pester. They really didn't have something, or they thought they did, and that person flaked out on them, and you're calling them 20 times because now they're almost embarrassed that they're a real estate agent that can't even give you a loan because they don't have any business. So that's what's really happening with a real estate agent's mindset. And that's like when you call and ask for a referral. It's like, what if they had one sitting there, they would give it to whoever they like right when they get it. But when somebody says, hey, do you have any business I could help? And then they see your phone number ring again a week later and they don't have anything to give you, the last thing they want to subconsciously be is the real estate agent that doesn't have any business. So they let it go to voicemail. So that's where these note cards and that drip plan breaks you through that. Here's what happens. Let me break this down. Connect, handwritten note. You just say you totally went on blind faith. And it's like, I'm just going to do it. You write the note. When your call pops up in 4 weeks on their phone, you haven't even asked for business yet. They actually will take the call more often. I'm not saying that you're going to get 100% of them that you won't get voicemail. They could be in an appointment or something. But what I am saying is that 25 to 35% of them will answer the phone just because you sent the note card. And the first thing they're going to say is, oh my gosh, thank you for the note. I got your note. They got it 4 weeks ago, but they're going to say, I got your note the other day. Okay, let me stop there. Who has done note cards and who has followed up to the 4th week and had that happen to them? Yeah. Jason, tell us what happened.
I think I had mentioned already, but I did a coffee appointment with an agent and followed up with her afterwards, and I didn't hear from her for a few days. She asked for some renovation flyers and stuff like that. She was big in renovation loans, and I wanted to get in on that with her. And I had sent her a card, but with the cross in the mail situation, I had reached out and I wasn't getting any answers. And then the next time I reached out, like a week later, she answered. First thing she said was, thanks for the card. And I was like, holy shit, I got to tell Brad this, because I was like, it's so true. So
Anybody else?
It was really cool.
Yeah. Anybody
And
else?
then we set lunch for next Wednesday too, by the way.
Oh, I'm telling you, the limbic part of the brain let it come through, but it felt good. And they wanted to just answer the phone. Like they don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
They don't think about it. They're just, oh my gosh, I felt so good when I got that note. Oh, thank you for the note. Yeah, go ahead, Kimberly.
So I actually, it was a referral from another realtor. I actually spoke to their two teams or two people, they're a team. And I wrote a note card to her. We spoke like on a Friday night for an hour and she just chat. And so I wrote a note card to her and we set up a meeting for me to meet to both of them. Now I did not send a thank you card to the person that I already sent a thank you card to, but I sent a thank you card to a partner and appreciated the fact that they, that they met with me.
Yeah.
And they've decided that they want to add, Movement Mortgage as one of their preferred lenders. So this is the week is my follow-up to send a text message just to say, hello, how are you doing?
Yep. Well, or the text message is literally, hey, if you got any last minute leads that get converted and you need to throw them onto an app, I watch this regularly. That is all the text message might be. You don't even have to thank them for anything yet. In fact, it's almost a setup. If you guys will look, when you write the note without I, me, or my in it, it was so great meeting. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. Congratulations on the success of the team. Looking forward to keeping in touch. Kimberly, right? And
Yep.
then it's the app, and then it's the bio, and then it's the text message. I actually don't even want to thank them or mention the event because the note card will set up my phone call for me to say, when they say, oh, I got your note card. It was great. Just like Jason just said, and we'll see if anybody else has a similar experience. When they'll say, hey, I got your note card the other day. Thank you so much. That was nice. That was nice. And you just I don't even say anything to that. I'm like, well, I'm just looking forward to keeping in touch and getting to know you better. You guys are a great team. And so I'm just checking in to see how things are going. What's going on in your world? You guys have heard me say this. This is like your general conversation with any real estate. What's going on in your world? I like to understand what's happening so I can help all my real estate clients break through these things and grow their business. I partner up with people, not just come to you looking for loans. I want to partner up and help you grow your business. So it helps me to understand what you're doing. Now, I may be talking to somebody I'm not doing business with yet, but what's happening in the back of their head? How many of you are thinking right now? Well, they're probably like, well, heck, how do I know what was growing my business? Especially all these new agents, right? And that's what you want them to think is like, wow, first of all, what's happening in the real estate agent's brain is you just gave them permission to talk about themselves. Okay, I'm a real estate agent. I coach them. I know it's ego, baby. And so sometimes you guys stroke that little ego a little bit. And it's like the best opening line is, hey, I've got something I want to run past you and get your opinion on. Whew. You ask a realtor what their opinion is. Yeah, what is it? They'll tell you everything about it, whether you like their opinion, like their answers, doesn't matter. You got them talking. And so I just like to understand what's going on in your world. I'd like to get your opinion on something. What do you think about calling through your database A to Z? And they're like, oh, yeah, I need to do that better. It's like, oh, man, that's what I've been working on. I'm helping agents do that now to reconnect with their database and double or triple their business. So, and in fact, on the recorded calls, you got the 100 sales in a year just from Facebook and their cell phone list. So I try to give you all these things where you can just start having these type of conversations. All right, anybody else? I saw Preston jump in. Have you done any note cards or had anything with the calls or anything? I saw your camera come on when we were talking about that.
You put me on the spot. Had to know that was coming.
No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, buddy. I just saw your camera come on when we were talking. I thought maybe you were going to throw something in, but yeah.
No, I'm late to the party. Sorry.
Well, you're this close, man. You're this close. I know you are. I know you think about it every day. How many of you are now having nightmares and you wake up and hear Brad Korn's voice in your head going, oh, man.
Good day.
If you don't yet, it's coming. Anyway. All right. Anybody else have anything to add on that?
I'll just mention to Kimberly, she said something about the poker chips. So I grabbed a few of them here, and I don't know if the camera picked it up or not, but this is kind of the poker chip idea. If anybody's interested in it, you could just get your branding with your logo on it. And then on the back, you can put whatever saying you want. I put my QR code, which will bring their phones directly to the QR website with the contact information and stuff. But my question for you, Brad, I wanted to get your opinion on going back to gathering their names at the event that I'm going to be having. What we've done in the past was, hey, first off, they're getting poker chips for donating because we partnered up with Dunedin Cares, blah, blah, blah. So if they donate, give us a card, we'll give you 2 poker chips kind of thing. And everybody's pretty much bringing that in. So it's like an easy segue to get their information. And I can take that later and do the thank you cards. And I was thinking that that would be a good idea and just want to run that by you.
Yeah. Well, in fact, you guys could have fun with this poker chip thing. I mean, it could be your whole annual plan. Like if you have every event you do built into these, like if he really took that to the next level and he builds it up with this following of agents that show up and they know what the poker chip is and they know if they do certain things, they get more. And those turn into, it could be a coffee. I'm going to buy you coffee, to 3 poker chips. We get lunch, to 5 poker chips. We're going to go to the iFly zone and do some flying, you know, that air parachute flying. You got all the golfing, you got all these different things that you could build an entire strategy around these poker chips. So have fun with that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, everybody's trying to get these dang poker chips. It's the same thing with the playbook. If you've got the playbook, you want to bring that thing alive every single month. And the best way to do that, guys, if you do have the playbook, are you doing stuff in the playbook to the real estate agents? Like, think about this. We're mortgage. We got the agent marketing playbook. And if you don't know what that is, we can talk about it on your call and I'll tell you more about it. It is an investment up front. So we want to make sure you're making money to get an ROI on it when you do it and that you have the money to invest in it for sure. But the way to get the bigger ROI, because they are cheap, they're only like $1 something a piece. But if, even though you're in mortgage and it says agent marketing playbook, got one laying right here, got an agent marketing playbook, right? If you do this stuff to every agent, if you're posting some of the memes, if you're doing some of the holiday things and you're doing it to the real estate agents and you're tagging it as, hey, did you see this in the agent playbook this month? And you're doing it back to them. And so you're dripping on them and marketing them with the playbook that they're going to eventually be like, hey, how do I get one of those playbooks? What do I need to do to get that? Right. And what's come out of a lot of your coaching calls is that they get a 3-month subscription. So listen, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for the next 3 months. I'll get you a 3-month subscription, because what that does then is in the 3 months that you're giving them 3 books, they have to meet with you. They have to start implementing some of the things out of the book or the subscription ends, so that you're not just taking them and dropping them off and seeing what happens. Man, that's probably less than 0.25% return right there. Any questions on that? Or I saw a couple microphones opening up. So it is about making that playbook come alive, and it is your plan. And you should have a monthly meeting with anybody that's getting that playbook from you. And you guys are talking about, what are we implementing this month? What are we implementing this month? It's them that's implementing it, but you're there helping, you're coaching them to implement it and put something into place so they can get something out of it. When you help them build their business and reconnect with their past clients or anything they like out of the book, and you just meet with them and help them get it in place, it doesn't mean it has to cost you money. Doesn't mean you have to pay for an event. You're just having coffee and talking about it. Hell, they should probably be buying your coffee before long, right? When I have loan officers that actually come and help do stuff, I just do this anyway. When loan officers want to go to lunch, I usually buy their lunch. And they're like, what? No, I got it. It's like, no, when was the last time a realtor bought your lunch? And they're like, never. And it's like, that's why I'm buying your lunch. Not because I need to or anything else. I just like to surprise people. So, it's just things like that. So just meeting with them and bringing that book alive. All right. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is a challenge. We got a couple minutes left because this also came up in our coaching call. So I want to put a little bit of a challenge out to you. And what I have found is that if you've been in the mortgage business for a while, the last couple of years, 2020 and 2021 were awesome. I mean, there was the refi boom and you got all that stuff coming through. There were a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, but there were a lot of people that built up a pretty big kind of nest egg, or that savings account got blown up a little bit. And as we've been going through 2022 and as things have been shifting, what I'm finding just by asking questions is life is still pretty comfortable, and you may have actually, even during COVID and everything, enjoyed your family more, you were home more, you got that bulk of money in the account. And if you are going to a savings account or an account to pull money every month, every other month, anything like that, and you're not bringing in enough to just cover everything that you want to do right now, then I'm going to challenge you for the rest of the year to figure out what you had in 2020 or 2021, whichever was your biggest amount of that checking account or savings account or whatever it was that you were tapping into. Figure out what that highest amount was. Go get the balance now, figure out what that difference is, and then figure out what your core basic monthly nut is. And let's figure out what replacing that, say we want to replace that in 4 months or 12 months. I don't even care about the time. If it's $50,000, okay, I want to replace over the next 5 years, I want to put 10 grand back in there. I'm going to quit pulling from it. And I'm going to start making enough every single month, no matter what, that I don't have to tap into that. And we're going to replace what we've taken out. So figure out what your goal is in your timeline and how many loans that would take to put that money back in whatever time frame you want and live off of what you need every month, and kind of reverse that thinking, because so many people have gotten comfortable just tapping into that, pulling out 2 here, 5 here, whatever, that we want to break that habit and not even replace it, but start living off of our stuff. Because what I find is what you need to make, whatever goes in your bank account, we spend it. So whenever you put that stuff back in there, whenever you know what that number needs to be, you can just say it's 5 loans per month. So if you only get 3 this month, then you're going to be short and you're going to have to tap in your money again. But your brain is saying, I need to quit doing that and replace it. So I actually need 5 more. So that's how you're going to get to 10, is by focusing on 10, not just focusing on 5. Anyway, so that's kind of like my last minute challenge, just something to think about. And if you're newer in the mortgage industry, you need to know what that basic nut is, right? You might not have a savings yet, and we want to build that up too. So what would you like to have sitting in there to be comfortable? And I'll tell you right now, it's probably after COVID, I would say we all probably should have 12 months of our expenses sitting in an account somewhere. I'm not quite there. I get around, like when I was supposed to get 3 to 4 months ahead, I was always 1 month ahead. Now that I have to be 12 months ahead, I've gotten to 3 or 4 months is always in my account. I don't have to worry about anything for 3 or 4 months. I could have no business for 3 or 4 months and I'd be okay. But it really needs to be about 12 after experiencing COVID, no matter what would ever happen in our markets. Now, and I will tell you too, that I've been through probably a dozen shifts, and the business when I say 100 sales are in front of you, it's 100 sales, whether it's a down market, up market, crazy market, crashed market, it's been 100 sales, boom, 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 because those relationships were built, and it just makes everything work easier so that you don't have ups and downs in your business. So any last minute, anything that you guys want to take away from the call, or anybody want to share, just a few people share something you're taking away from the call. What's one aha idea, tweak, anything that you're going to take away? Whether it's on events.
Hey, Coach Corn.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've always tried to focus on was marketing to listing agents on a sale.
Yep.
And I believe adding in a personalized note is a great idea.
Yep. Well, just adding the listing agent period. And I talk about this with a lot of people on one-on-one coaching calls. The fact that you would call them, right? So here's how it looks. You got a reason to call. It's the listing agent. They're the listing agent on a sale, and you might get their voicemail because they don't know you yet. So here's how this would play out. And let me just tell you how it would really play out. So the first call is going to be like, hey, it's Brad over at Movement Mortgage. We've got a deal working. You've got a buyer on one of your listings. And I just want to go over the process so you know what to expect from Movement Mortgage as we're going through. I've got an update checklist that I want to get you. Give me a call whenever you get a chance. So I get voicemail, right? And how many of you probably get voicemail a couple times? I will call again the next day. Hey, nothing. This is exactly what I would say. Hey, it's Brad over at Movement. Nothing urgent. Left you a message yesterday. Just give me a call. and I will call the
Coach,
next day, right?
Can I stop you there, Coach?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
If I get voicemail, I just say, hey, this is Billy with Movement Mortgage, and I'm working with a client buying your home on Main Street. Get a chance, give me a call, please. They call
Yep.
you in a
Yep. Now, I will play out the ideal scenario of what I want to happen with this listing agent. This is ideal, right? I would want to connect, write them the note, just like you said. It was great connecting. Look forward to keeping you updated on the loan, and look forward to keeping in touch, something like that, right? I ultimately would like to, right in the beginning, see you sitting down with the listing agent. Just hear me out on this, because this is ideal. This is perfect. If you could say, listen, we have the whole process, and I know you're a busy agent, and I know that you got a lot of stuff going on, and I like for everyone to know exactly where everything's going through the process, when to expect what, so that there's no surprises, that your clients don't get a call on the day of closing, it's not going to close. So do you have 10 minutes I could run by the office, or when are you in the office mostly that I could pop by for 10 minutes? Because if you sat down with me as a listing agent, first of all, you're not fighting your way through. So if I finally say, yes, I'll meet, I'm open to this, and you're going to, I really appreciate you meeting, and we really just want you to understand our process, so that anywhere in the process that you don't know what's going on, I want you to pick up the phone and call me. If you did that to me as a listing agent, I'm already going to do it to you anyway. And I'm very rare that I'm the guy that will call the buyer's loan officer, but we want to be plugged in. When I get 8 loan officers that come to me as a real estate agent and do that, I'm like, this guy's the bomb. When I get that little update, like they've got the boxes and they're all grayed out and they're just working through the process and we see it advancing. They just took one thing off of my call list to call them and see if that was going to happen. But ideally, if you sat down with a listing agent like myself and you said, here's how I work, I'd be like, dude, this person has their crap together. And I'd be going back to my team going, listen, this Billy guy over at Movement, he's got a pretty impressive follow-up plan. But if I skip that part and you don't get to show me really what you're doing, then I'm not going to go tell my team how awesome you are, because I don't even know what the process is. You're just checking in. Does that make sense? So maybe that's the ultimate, like, what is that plan to follow up? And then they're just going to go on the 8x8 after that process is over, or the 33 touch, where you're just going to stay in touch with them for the rest of the year. Just be in front of them with applications and your bio and all that stuff, just like you did before. So the thing about that follow-up process is once you start doing business with them, you can kind of pause that, take them through the transaction, and then pick back up when you left off after the transaction, so they don't forget about you. I know for a fact, everybody in here could raise their hand. You've done a deal. It was awesome. Maybe even done 2 deals with somebody. It was smooth and awesome. And you haven't done a deal again since, right? So those are the things where we just kind of fade out. And that's why the constant, persistent, consistent touching base with just little drippy things, not stupid stuff, but just staying in touch with people will keep you top of mind. All right, I know we're at the end of our hour, and I know that looks like a lot of you did show up. So a lot of people did get the notices and the thing this month. I don't know what happened. I was like, I don't know if everybody knows we're having a call on Wednesday or not, because it's normally on Fridays. And so we're also going to do this again on Tuesday, and it'll be live, and it'll be kind of around the same thing, but I'm sure we'll have different things that we're talking about with a different group. So, all right.
When are you going to post this recording out? Because I missed the first part of it.
Yeah, it processes pretty quick. So, I mean, it might take about 30 minutes to process, and I usually send it out even the same day most of the time, unless I
Okay.
have to jump out of the
I
office.
missed the whole bio piece, so I want to be able to watch it again.
Great. Yeah, it's all of these videos are great to just go watch every so often. And anything I can do with the videos that would make it more useful to you, let me know too. Cool, guys. Thanks for your participation. Did everybody like the call? Yep. All right. Awesome. I'm seeing thumbs up all the way across the board, and even the people in the black are thumbs up, and I can see them. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Yep. There's Whitney's hand in the air. All right.
All right.
Fun
Bye.
hanging out with you guys. I really, truly have fun coaching you guys. This is a total blast, and you guys are all just, everybody in this group is great. So jot down some names. Pay attention to who's showing up to these things. These might be people you want to start talking to every so often, and just introduce yourself and write a note and start a relationship, share ideas. All right.
Got it.
Good
Bye.
stuff.